The date is Wednesday, March 8th. The location is Lockport, Illinois. The time is 1 p.m. We are interviewing Joseph Bertucci at his home in Lockport. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes.
Okay. Joe was in the U.S. Marine Corps 2nd Division in the Pacific Theater during World War II, and he saw action in Tarawa, Saipan, Okinawa, and Nagasaki. The interview is being conducted by Jeff Hoffman, along with Tom Webb, with the Oral History Program at the Pritzker Military Museum in Chicago. Good afternoon, Joe.
How are you?
Real good. Why don't we start with when and where you were born?
Born November 26, 1922.
Where were you born?
What year?
Where?
Kearney, Iowa.
Kearney,
A little
Iowa.
town, mining town.
Is that anywhere near Des Moines?
Near about 10 miles north of Des Moines, Iowa.
Did you have any siblings?
I had one sister.
Oh, okay. So what was it like growing up in a mining town?
As a youngster, a baby, we lived in this little frame home. My father was a miner, and it was a regular mining town. Probably 300-400 people that lived in it.
Wow.
And we grew up. I lived there till I was about 7 years old. Okay. No, 5 years old.
Okay.
And then we moved to Des Moines, about south, about 10 miles.
Wasn't that farm country? I mean, did you ever spend time on a farm?
Around Kearney, that was really farm country, but further close to the city, that's my father built a house that's on about a block outside the city limits.
Any of your relatives own farms?
My grandmother had a farm of 80 acres, and I had an aunt that was right next door to her. She had another 80 acres, so that's where I spent most of my first 5-6 years over by my grandmother's farm.
Oh.
Because my father had rented a house across the street.
Oh, so that's where you went for summer vacation then?
Yeah.
Was your mom a stay-at-home mom, or did she work outside the home?
No, she stayed home. She was a stay-home mom.
Okay. So what was it like growing up in the Depression? That was kind of this era.
Depression?
During the Depression, yes.
Oh, see, my mother died whenever I was 7 years old.
Oh, okay.
And my grandmother took care of us until we were about 11 or 12. And then we moved, when we had moved into Des Moines there, I don't know. I think the Depression was bad. And when I went to school, I mean, kids never had any, if you had one pencil, while you were lucky, or and one pad, then that's about all you could do. The parents could afford, and the teachers knew what you could do. And that's the way you grew up. You wore one pair of shoes, and you wore it to school. The school was out, you took the shoes off, and you put them away until the next school starts. That's the way it was during the Depression.
Yeah.
And that's about what I could remember. Because my father one time took me right into the town, and I could still remember all the big garbage cans that were full of soup that these people,
wow.
All these men,
the meals came from those.
The women never lined up out on the street to get the soup. There was nothing but men. The men were the only ones, and these lines were long, big long lines. Every day they would come. That's about what I can remember of the Depression.
Did you have any chores or jobs that you had to do?
No.
So what about the family cow?
I never. I don't know.
So where did you go to high school, and when did you graduate?
I graduated from East Des Moines High School.
Right in town. Okay. Did you join any sports clubs?
4 years. I think in my write-up, I think I went to junior high school to one place and 3 years to another place. And I'll bet you it wasn't about 2 weeks after I graduated, I left home because my father he didn't believe in going to school, and I wanted to go to college.
Oh, okay.
After I got out of high school.
Right.
Of course, at that time I was only 17.
Yes.
And but no, He says, "No, I'm not paying for any college or anything like that." So I decided I'm leaving home.
Where'd you go?
So I left and I came to Chicago
Oh, okay.
and stayed with my aunt.
Okay.
Well, I stayed with my aunt for about 2 weeks, and she decided, well, what am I going to do with this kid? He's only 17 years old, and you couldn't get a job
Right.
because you had to be 18 back then in order for people to hire you.
Yeah.
So she says, "I'm going to put you in the CC camps."
Oh, that
So
was
they sent me out to Idaho for a year.
what an adventure. Huh?
Yeah, well, and I mean that was really growing up. Then I started to figure out what am I going to do and where am I going to go.
So what did you do in these camps?
We were out there a little over a year,
Oh.
and they disbanded the CCC, so I had to come back to Chicago. But by that time, I'm 18.
Oh, so
now I can get a job.
Yep.
So
So where did you go to work?
I went to work at the American Can Company.
Right in Chicago.
I didn't. My aunt pushed me into it. After I got out of the CC camp, I was living with my aunt, and for about 3 or 4 months, I'm laying around doing nothing. She says, "I'm not going to let you lay around do anything." So she says, "American Can Company's hiring."
Oh, okay.
So she
So
took
she
me.
found you there.
She drove me over over to the plant, and I got a job, and I worked there for almost 45 years.
Wow. So now that you were working, did you have to pay rent?
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
See, your aunt had something in mind there. So this is probably you graduated in 40, so this is the year after. So where were you when you found out about Pearl Harbor?
40 and I was 41. I was at the American Can Company, and I was working there. I'd worked there
When the news came?
only about 6, maybe 4 or 5 months. I had the job there. I worked there in about almost a year.
Okay.
After Pearl Harbor, and then after about a year later, I signed up to.
Well, did many of your friends enlist when word came of Pearl
No,
Harbor?
the only way I found out that to get into the Marine Corps, after I got my job at the American Can Company, I went to live on my own, and I rented a bedroom from some lady, and she's really good. So while I was living there, why, the American Can Company, what the heck was it? How'd that happen?
Well, what was your brother's connection?
I was living in that rented house thing. We a bunch of young guys, hung around together, about 5 or 6 of us.
Yep.
And about 18, we go out boozing, drinking in nightclubs and stuff. You could do that in those days.
Okay.
So this one guy, his brother came. He was in the Marine Corps. He was a recruiter, but I didn't know at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I'm talking to him, and I had what was my number in the draft.
I'll draft you.
So I said, sooner or later I'm going to get drafted.
Yeah.
So I turn around. He says, well, why don't you join the Marine Corps? Of course, he had the blues, and he was all dressed up
had the
and stuff like that. Yeah, that. And he says, well, why don't you come join the Marine Corps? He says, if you want to do a good job and do the best, he says, join the Marine Corps. He says, if you go in the Army, he says, they're liable to stick you anywhere and do anything they want to do with you. Okay, so my number was coming up pretty soon, so that's when I went down and I got in the Marine Corps.
So do you remember the date?
It was January, I think, around somewhere the 16th of 43.
Right.
1943.
Yep. Did you have any military background in your family?
No.
Oh, okay.
None.
So not a lot of relatives to advise you either way, or
the only thing I had was the little bit I had in the CC camps, the formations and marching and that
almost
kind
like
of
an
stuff.
ROTC type of experience.
Reveille and all of them.
So did your friends have similar experiences with enlisting? Did they also sign up?
No. Well, not when I signed up. They didn't sign up when I did, because most of them were maybe a little bit younger than I was.
Okay.
But I met one after after I was on Saipan.
Yeah.
One of the
We'll
five.
get to that.
We never get to that later
Yep.
on.
So where did you receive your basic training?
San Diego. San Diego.
Was it a Marine Corps base in San
Marine
Diego?
Corps base.
The recruit base, okay. But
Then we
you
went
were in Chicago, so how did you get to San Diego?
You know, it's funny. I don't even remember anybody from Chicago that was in that group that I was in. Mm-hmm. You know, the replacement group that I was in. None of them. I had one of the friends after I got in the Marine Corps. One of the guys was from Indiana. One was from Washington. One was from Michigan.
Oh.
Yeah, 3 or 4 of them, and one Indiana, and all the rest of them are from Texas, Florida. I mean, California.
But how did you get to San Diego?
How did I get to San Diego?
Yeah.
By train.
How long did that take?
I think they said it was a troop train, but it was just a passenger train with the. If you remember if the streetcars in Chicago, whenever they get to the end of the line, you push the backs back. Instead they wouldn't turn the cars around. They just go in and turn the ground, and you sat the opposite way.
Oh, okay.
That's the way the troop train was.
Okay.
And there was only, I think there was 7 or 8 of us that were on that little troop train when we left Chicago. But they were picking up guys as they were going down towards Arizona, and the more and more of those guys down there were
So the train
joining.
was full probably by the time it hit the depot.
A lot of guys from Texas down there in the Marine Corps.
So do you remember anything about the daily routine at boot camp?
Boot camp?
Yeah.
Well,
Obviously
that's where you really get started.
You had your drill instructors right away. So what were they like?
They had their own routine. I mean, you go in there and you get off that bus, and you do everything as you go right down the line. I mean, they says take off all your jewelry, any jungle car, rings, watch, anything around here, anything that belongs to you, because we're going to send it home.
Yeah.
Your clothes, with the clothes that you had on, they took everything you take off. Then because you go down the line, they issue you all what they want you to wear.
How well did it fit?
Well, they ask you what size, but it didn't need that much.
So while you were there, did you have any chance to talk to family or write letters or things like that?
No.
Nope.
No. You couldn't even call up on the telephone. They wouldn't even let you call on the telephone.
Wow. That was really
in boot
isolated.
camp, when you're in boot camp, you don't go to the PX. You forget about any candy or anything else. Anytime you can go is once a week to get toothpaste or soap or something like that. It's all you could buy, and it's funny how you can get along without that stuff, because the first thing they do when you go in, like I say, when they change of your clothes, then they give you a bucket, and in that bucket, you got a ticket above, like a little card, for haircuts.
Oh.
So it's the 9 weeks that you're in there, you get 9 haircuts.
Oh.
Every week you get a haircut. No, I mean, there's nothing, if it's there or not. and you had that, and you get a scrub brush.
Yeah, I get a haircut.
And then you still got hair. But you get a scrub brush and a bunch of stuff. I don't know what all, I forget what all they had in there. But
Only things you needed, I'm sure.
everything
Nothing more.
exactly what you needed.
Yeah. So what was your military occupational specialty, your MOS? What kind of specific training did you get? Riflery, artillery, instruments?
When we got out of boot camp, we went to Camp Pendleton. Then we learned to, first Camp Elliott for about a week and a half. And then we got transferred up to Camp Pendleton. And we were there. We had to learn tell you how to shoot a rifle, how to do it, all this other
Getting
kind
back
of
to
stuff.
San Diego, I mean, here's your graduation picture. You can point out where you are in here, but what kind of training did you have up until this point?
Let's see.
Right on the edge?
I'm the second guy over here on,
Okay.
on this end.
Okay. So did you have any rifle training or pistol training before you went to Pendleton?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
Absolutely not. If you did, it was no good anyway. They taught you how to shoot, how to use, and you went from the 100 yards to 200 yards to the 500 yards until you graduated.
Yeah.
And they take you to go to the mortar, teach you how to shoot, use mortars and stuff. Different military stuff in there.
Okay.
While we were there.
So at Camp Pendleton, what unit were they forming up that you were a part of?
We were supposed to start out with they wanted us. I think we went to school. We had to go to school because they wanted to put us in artillery, and we were supposed to be called the IP, the instrument and observation.
Oh, okay.
So we had to learn all about because you had to learn how to use a what do you call them, a circle, aiming circle, just like almost the same
for fire control. For fire control.
Same thing as it's like a surveyor. That's what you're doing. That's all we do. That's what we started. We learned to do that. Start off with, because we would go out and have observation spots. One to see where they wanted to go, and then we had to figure out back to the aiming thing on the gun on the artillery, how send them the information how to aim.
Okay,
that's what we were doing. That's where we learned that.
Okay. So did you also get some training in rifles, mortars, grenades?
Oh, we got that. That was in between. We was going to school for a little bit, but we were only there about maybe a month and a half.
Well, they were kind of in a hurry, weren't they?
Because we all of a sudden one day they just said, load up, we're going, and then next day they take your sea bag and you throw it in the truck, and then you take off with that's all you got left is a pack.
That's all you had to take with you.
That's all you had to take.
Everything had to fit in that pack. Yeah.
Take that on the ship.
So at this point, were you in the 2nd Marine Division, or was that formed yet, or is that still?
We were completely. We didn't know where we were going. I mean, I don't think because we really didn't organize the 2nd Division until we were down in New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
That's where all they all congregated down.
So
down
since you did get orders, what type of transport ship did they put you on?
It was a Dutch ship, and it had Javanese, people from Java.
Yeah.
They were the ones that were running the ship. They ran the ship.
Like the Dutch East Indies or something.
It was an old beat up thing you ever saw in your life.
So it was converted to a transport ship.
Well, we went to eat for supper and dinner. You waited in line. You could take a mess gear with you, but right in the middle of the hold, in the ship, you got the hold.
Yeah.
Well, they had that open, and it had like picnic benches.
Oh.
That was cafeteria.
Cafeteria style.
Yeah.
I guess they could accommodate more people that way.
What they had to eat, you wouldn't believe.
Okay. So you already told me, but what was your destination on the transport ship?
Our destination, we didn't know until we were quite a ways out, and they told us where we were going to New Zealand. But
did anybody know where that was?
when we left San Diego, they gave us our winter greens.
Oh, okay.
And that was more or less as a decoy, because somebody along the line said that we were going to go to Alaska.
Okay.
And giving us the greens. Then they put us on board ship. After we get aboard ship, they take the greens away, and they give you your khakis. So that's more or less didn't. Then after we're out there a ways, that's when they told us we were going to New Zealand.
Okay.
Usually they don't ever tell you where you're until after you're on board.
Yeah, so you can't leave.
It's too late.
So how many days did it take to go from California to New Zealand?
It's about a month.
A month. Well, you didn't just go. Did you have any port stops?
We didn't go straight. We went down so far, and then they said, they get from island to another to an island, and because the Japanese had submarines out in that area someplace along it. Because every once in a while we would get the signal, that there's a submarine, and you have to go down below and stay down below until. But we stopped at New Caledonia.
Oh, okay.
Only for 1 day, maybe 1 day.
So you really didn't get off the ship.
You never get off the ship.
Yeah.
Then you go down we went down to a place called Tonga Taboo. That was a little jam, and it was owned by the British. It was a pretty little island. I mean, we never got off the ship, but we could see the buildings were red with the red roofs and that kind of stuff. Yeah, they had it really nice there, but we could never get off the ship. They wouldn't let us get off the ship.
So during all these days, what had you heard about the fighting in the Pacific before you were deployed? I mean, there was Midway, there was Wake, there was Coral Sea. Of course, Guadalcanal was going on then.
Well, you heard about it, but you didn't. In fact, we had, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 different guys that I met while we're in the 2nd Division that were on Guadalcanal.
They cycled back into your division,
more or less like telling us what to expect and all this other kind of stuff. But that was altogether different because they fought in the jungles more than this, and we weren't going to be. We didn't know it, but we weren't going to be in no jungles.
As it turns out, you weren't. Yes.
I don't want to jump into what Jeff's doing too much, but I got to ask, an Iowa boy, had you ever been out on the open water like that before?
Never been on the ocean.
How'd you take to it?
It really didn't bother me. We've had a lot of guys that were used to get seasick. I never did bother a lot of us. It never.
You're fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem to do affect.
Sometimes the combination of
we never were going down to New Zealand. The weather seemed to be always hot and nice.
Getting hotter.
Calm, but I mean, temperature-wise hot.
Yeah. I'm surprised because the swells and the smell of the Navy chow sometimes, or whatever the chow was on the transport ship, would be enough to finish it.
That was another story. That's another story about their latrines and their heads.
It's all converted. It wasn't intended to be that kind of a ship. That was all converted.
No.
So you in New Zealand. You were where in New Zealand?
We went to Wellington.
Wellington. Okay.
Wellington, and they got off the ship.
And then you went to a camp.
They put us on a train, and they took us all the way up. Halfway, I think, just about between Auckland and Wellington, way up in the mountains.
Oh, okay.
They got all tunnels and everything else in order to get up there, and going halfway up there while the train stops. It was time to have tea and crumpets.
Oh.
Yeah, the motorman or whatever it is that was run the train. Comes time to the lunchtime, everything stops, and you have lunch.
So what was the name of your camp? I couldn't pronounce it.
Camp Paikakariki. Paikakariki.
Okay.
That was, it had a lake. That was a lake. They had a lake to go around there.
Ideal for marching around, huh?
Yeah. Oh, that was good. That was training.
That was part of the training?
Yeah.
So what were your impressions? I mean, you were in New Zealand a long time. What were your impressions of New Zealand, the camp, the other Marines there?
We were there for 3 months, 4 months, and we only got to Wellington twice.
By train,
for Liberty.
Yeah.
Twice
in...
They just didn't want us to go because it was a tent camp is all we were in. Every place we go there was nothing but tents. You sleep in tents.
So how long were some of the longest marches you had to do for conditioning?
Oh, around that lake, I don't know.
Miles and miles. Huh?
Miles. You got to go. Well, it all depends how early in the morning they want to get you up and get you going. And sometimes you have a single pack, sometimes you have a double pack, and
Did you have any trouble adjusting to these training conditions?
It didn't make any difference what I thought.
Were you well supplied at these camps? Because there was literally dozens and dozens of camps in New Zealand. So were you well supplied that far away?
Oh yeah, so there was different areas where they had second division. You know.
Okay.
We were right next to this. It was Indian camp. I mean, a reservation camp where the Maoris. They call them Maoris. That's what they call the Indians there.
Oh, the native Indians.
The natives.
Oh, okay. So you spent 6 months in New Zealand. Your unit was told what your mission was. Tarawa.
But,
How much did they tell you about amphibious landings? Since when you look at the training you've received to date, that didn't include amphibious landings.
not, you know, it's funny. They never really told you how. Well, we had landings when we had the rope landings.
Right, to disembark.
We had some of that training in
Camp Pendleton.
Camp Pendleton.
Right.
Because they had the air base, had the air base down by the ocean, and they had these places where they train you how to get over the netting, the net, and how to get down, and they tell you, but they don't tell you about how the waves keep going.
Oh boy, yeah, they didn't simulate the real conditions.
Higgins boats fly go up and down and up and down.
Were you told anything about the Japanese fortifications on Tarawa?
After we were on the ship, we were there. They told us about in fact, they had a layout of Tarawa. Mm-hmm. At first they called it, we didn't know if it was the island of Tarawa or the island of Bateo or what. It was all new to us. We never heard of the place before.
Well, most people hadn't.
But before we got off, they got this. It's a big thing, was made out of sand. And it showed you exactly where a lot of the thing, but they didn't tell you about the big fortifications they had, concrete fortifications they had on there, because they were so well hidden that you couldn't find them.
They were covered with sand.
Not only sand, they used to take these coconut logs.
Yes.
Layers of coconut logs.
Yep.
They used them coconut logs for everything.
Yep.
They built a wall on the island,
like barricades, right?
Right up to the ocean, where the ocean comes up to the beach, and they had these coconut logs. Some are big, and they're long,
right?
And they made this fortification. These wall, and it was 4 foot, 5 foot, 4 foot, something like 4 or 5 foot high.
Yeah. Well, the Japanese had all these. They had CB-like people on Tarawa building all these structures.
Engineering.
Exactly.
They knew pretty well. I mean, there were no dummies.
Right. So, the big day, landing day, November 20th.
Yeah.
How early did you have to get ready?
Get ready. You go ready till the next day. The day after we were supposed to go in on the first day, and we didn't go in until the second day because you couldn't get past that wall. There was the first day then got enough guys in there, but they couldn't get past the wall because. Past the wall, you had to go up a sand kind of a decline, and there were these concrete bunkers.
Yeah.
I mean, these things they weren't that big, but they had everything was blocked off except a little slot about that big. I'd say about that wide, so you could stick the machine guns through there, and they were separated from one distance to another, where they would crisscross. Right across the beach.
Yes.
I mean.
Yeah.
And
planned out.
That was the first day. It was. I guess those guys there. They just got. They made a mistake to start off with. That the surf goes out instead of in.
Yeah, the tides.
the tide was out instead of being in. That means that you had to go from the Higgins boat to that wall, maybe 200 yards, 100 yards, to get that far. And you're wide. You're believe it or not, you are separated. I mean, so far. Once you get off that Higgins boat, you just had to run to get out, no matter lay down, to do anything to get,
So
you don't
on your
stand
boats,
up.
did you have mostly squads, or did you have equipment and other supplies, or were just men?
You go in. It's not all just the infantry guys themselves. You have communications. You got the guys with the radios and this and that. Then you got, of course, the guys with the heavier with the machine guns and stuff like that to carry through. And then you got all these different ones on the mixed together. But when you go get off that Higgins boat and you hear this thing, all this noise and all this, I mean, everything's coming at you. There's nothing you can do. You can't go back. You can't go forward. You can't do nothing. And all of a sudden you turn around and you see, there's a guy over here, and then he's not there anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Were you aware of the amount of aerial bombardments that are being done as you approach the beaches?
Well, first, they claimed that they bombed it about 2 weeks through
Yeah, they did.
battleships and everything else, and that didn't do any good.
Well, the problem is
They thought they did, but
they
it
didn't have
do-
armor-piercing shells.
Nothing did.
I
Nothing.
mean, there was a lot of
nothing
things
good.
they learned at Tarawa was how they learned it.
Right. And after a while, the second day, we went in the second day, and because they wouldn't let us go in the first day because it was everything was backing up.
Oh, there wasn't room on the beach.
No room anymore
Right.
until the second day. They bought some flamethrowers.
Yeah.
You got the flamethrowers, and they would go try to find that little slot.
Yeah.
And that's what they would use.
Oh, in the blockhouses or in the fortifications. Yeah.
And that until we got those blocks taken out, why we were going nowhere.
Now, from your transport ship into the lagoon, you didn't encounter the barrier reef?
Oh yeah, but we were the
Well,
ones
depending on the tides, whether you could get over the reef or not.
we got over that. Huh?
Okay,
we
but
got
on
over
day
that.
one, the day before you, apparently the tides were even lower. So,
We had more trouble at Saipan with the barrier reef.
oh, okay, okay.
And we got over that. I imagine the ones that bought heavier equipment in on the LSTs, say with the tanks or some heavier tank,
On the
it sunk a
LCMs?
little bit
Yeah.
deeper. They probably had trouble getting across. But but you can't believe how chaotic it gets.
Well, I know.
Whenever everybody is trying to do everything and you can't get anywhere, you can't do anything. And the first day they thought that they almost figured that they would just almost have to back off and get off the island altogether and start all over again because, I mean, there's just too many guys were getting killed laying in that, because the beach is loaded with people hurt, killed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything is jammed up. And of course, the Japanese, they're over there. They're having a ball. Just shipped away like crazy.
So, was your battalion and your squad? Were you part of Red Beach 1? Were you on
Which one?
Red Beach 1?
Yeah. No, we were.
This is the lagoon, and there's Red Beach 1, 2, and then there's that big pier.
I was on blue. I was on blue. Red Beach 1, Red 2. We were. Let me put this thing the way I see it.
Yeah, that's the ocean side, and then the lagoon is where the invasion
we
went.
were over here. We were way over here on this
one?
end over here.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so things were really piling up on the beach. How did you get off the beach? What did you need to get off the beach?
The only way you got off is you got hurt. You got shot. That's why. Every time the Higgins boat would go in, they would load up the hurt or and even the dead if he could and bring them back. But there's guys out there floating in the water. I mean, they're all you can't believe how chaotic it gets. It's unbelievable I can sit here and talk to you now, but 10 years ago, I wouldn't be able to even talk to you about this. It's because it's just too much.
Did you use a lot of explosive charges or grenades? Or you mentioned flamethrowers in order to clear ways to get through these fortifications. Was that the method that your unit used?
No,
These satchel charges and these...
no, we never did anything like that.
Oh? Oh, okay.
I don't think so. No. That was too much going on.
So since you were in day 2, did any of the Sherman tanks show up on the LCMs? They were coming in after the initial invasion.
What do you mean?
Some of the Sherman tanks that were put on LCMs and brought ashore to help provide cover for Marines, were they in your vicinity? Sherman tanks?
No.
They had these big 75 millimeter guns?
No, we didn't have any of those.
Well, I mean, I don't know where they were in regards to where your unit was, but that was really helpful for having that kind of artillery to help give the Marines cover to advance inland.
Only for, not on site, not on Tarawa. The artillery was hardly useless on Tarawa.
Well, they had some howitzers.
No rooms. The howitzers, I don't think the howitzers ever got off. The guns themselves never ever got off the ship because they didn't have any room to go in.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because after the second day, and they got the flamethrowers, got through that one barrier
right.
after the big where we could
the blockhouses?
Get past that one big line.
The big line on the
then
shore.
we were pretty in good shape to go all the way over to the airstrip.
Okay. Okay.
You talked about that scene of chaos, being on the beach. Was there any attempts by the leadership there with you to try to corral people, or was it kind of every man for himself at that point?
No, you try to stay. When you go in, you have to. They'll tell you right out. Don't bunch up. Don't bunch up. You spread out far enough where because it's human nature to safety for safety. Everybody wanted to be with close to my buddies and this and that, and thinking that's the safest thing. But you have to spread out a certain distance in order to survive.
So how many days did it take to?
I think it was only 3 to 4 days is all it took. Once we got past that up to the airfield, it took one more day after that. I think that had to be. It was the day before my birthday. That's like I could remember. Day before my birthday.
So the lessons of Tarawa, were they pretty well understood? I mean, it wasn't just the planning, the bombarded issues. Even because a lot of Marines were dropped into water above their waist or higher. A lot of the radio communications was so atrocious because so many radios were damaged or waterlogged, and so obviously that was a lesson. Because
they've learned a lot. They learned a big lesson at Tarawa, I think, because see, we were the first ones to have the Higgins boats.
Right.
In fact, when we were down in New Zealand, and they wanted to try them out. So they take a squad of Marines, or maybe not that many, maybe about half a dozen, and they put them on a Higgins boat out around New Zealand there.
Yeah,
and they try to. Higgins boats are all right on a beach, sandy beach, to go in.
A smooth surface.
Yeah, but they were trying to use these Higgins boats to try them to go on the opposite side where you've got cliffs and stuff.
Oh.
And that one Higgins boat we found out later. I mean, about 3 or 4 guys drowned because the Higgins boat was. I mean, the waves were.
They're flat bottom,
banging up against those stone walls and stuff, and they turned over and upside down and everything else. Like they died.
Well, in that particular case, I guess Amtrak.
That's the first of the Higgins boats. That's the first. But on the beach, you couldn't beat them. I mean, as far as
a smooth beach landing.
You know, nice sliding right in there.
Yeah.
But
on
I always have admired the guys that drove the Higgins boats. You stop to figure a guy. Now these were Navy guys. These weren't Marines.
Right.
They were neighbor guys that drove those things. And all they're doing is sitting up there in this little hole about this big, all by themselves,
Yep.
driving this boat, the ship or whatever you want to call it, into the beach. And their job is to go as far as put all the power you can get and go all the way in as far as that ship
Before you drop the door.
You, then drop the door,
Yeah.
and as soon as it's empty, or they fill them up again with guys that you back it out and you get out. And this guy, little guy's up sitting up there all by himself. Can you imagine? I've often thought about that. Afterward, you think about, well, geez, that little guy. I wonder if he ever got hit or whatever happened.
And who would replace him?
How do you get it? Yeah.
It wasn't like three people there.
If he gets hit, where do you go?
Yeah, do the Marines take over? Oh boy. So after Tarawa, what happened? Did you
We went to
take a ship?
No, we went to Hilo, Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. What a
Hilo,
reward!
the big island of Hawaii.
Yeah.
We don't stay. We never stay in Hilo.
Oh, you
They
did
put
you-
us on trucks to haul us all the way up into the mountains of Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa.
Oh, by the
A
volcanoes.
great big farm. A farmer had a rancher had a great big ranch up there with cattle.
Oh, okay.
And
Ideal
they
place
stuck
for a
us
Marine
way
camp.
up in the mountains up there all by ourselves with tent camps.
So what did you do in Hawaii?
Well, we had rest for a little while, and then you start then you start getting ready for the next one. That's you get replacements and you get all organized again. And of course, they don't tell you where you're going to do or what you're going to do. Or
They didn't tell you? Oh, okay.
no,
So
they don't never say.
So I guess they didn't tell you that the two American Pacific commands were starting to split apart and weren't coordinating forces. We know where MacArthur wanted to go.
You got no idea. Well,
But Nimitz had a different idea. I mean, they both wanted to get to Tokyo, but there was more than one way to get there.
You know, he wanted to make a name for himself first.
When
So-
you were in Hawaii, did the military provide you with any counseling or any way to sort of mentally get yourself right after everything you had just experienced?
No, they don't even think about that kind of stuff. You don't. If you're not sick, if you don't go to sick bay, you know nobody even knows. You do your job and you stay there and do it. Because most of the guys, they hated to leave. When you get in a group of guys that you live together for a while. They're protecting you and you're protecting them. You don't want to go. You don't want to leave. Even if you get hit, you don't want to say, well, if I got shot in the arm or something like that, bandage it up, and they say a lot of them probably could be if taken back. A lot of guys don't want to go back.
Yeah, understandable.
I mean, you got a certain core of you guys together. I mean, if you stick
Yeah.
together, you don't.
Okay. So, even though they didn't tell you, what was happening is there was like a second front being formed with this island hopping campaign that Nimitz
Yep.
was supporting. So
Right.
that kind of they didn't give you any idea of future invasions.
Right beside Saipan, yeah.
Well, no, I mean the next was the Marshalls.
After,
Kwajalein and Inuiatak were the next. Everything they did wrong in Tarawa, they tried to not do in Kwajalein. In the Marshall
I think
Islands
they
and the
went to
Marianas were after that.
They went into Marshall
Right away.
right away after
that
that.
summer.
They learned
the
learned our
Right after the
lesson
first
from-
of the year. Yes. Yes. So I mean, those were the benefits of Tarawa. Is all the things that went wrong. There was no excuse for those going wrong again. And Kwajalein was a much larger atoll
it's a
than
familiar looking thing.
I know you weren't really in touch much with family back home, but the Tarawa campaign, the way it was reported, because of the huge losses and mistakes, I mean, it was really, the Navy was really ripped to shreds in the newspapers back in the U.S. because of the way the news was coming across.
When you're in a rest camp, you may get mail once in a while. We very seldom ever got.
But the thing was, you kept going. It was hard to keep up with you guys because
mail.
Yeah.
Mail call. Like they talk about. You say I see people in Germany whenever they were in Germany like that. Well, they got mail call every other day or every day or something like that. They was like give mail call once a month. I mean, the ships. Yeah, you say if you're on board ship or say a month,
mail can't keep up with you.
They're not flying. There's not flying your mail in and out.
So speaking of island hopping, when did you board ship from Hawaii to Saipan? Remember the date?
From Hawaii?
When you boarded ship to go to Saipan from Hawaii?
Oh, let's see. Saipan, we got to Saipan on.
I'll give you
April or May?
June.
Or June.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty significant dates here because when you were heading for Saipan, the whole Marianas campaign was really firing up.
Right.
And I'm sure you've heard of the turkey shoot.
That was a different. I don't know what division that was. That was a different division.
Well, it was
third or fourth division.
That as all these invasions were taking place in Saipan, Tinian, and Guam, the Japanese had this huge naval force in the Philippines, so they launched all these aircraft, but they had lost.
That's where we had the shootout.
Exactly.
That duck shoot or whatever they want to call it. Boy,
the turkey shoot.
Turkey shoot.
Yep. That's where we actually launched our aircraft and went after the Japanese rather than waiting for them to come to the Marianas.
Right.
So the Japanese were caught off guard. They had many inexperienced pilots, and that's why it was almost an annihilation of the Naval Air Force at that point. So how did the landing on the beach go in Saipan?
Saipan wasn't nearly as hard to get on to get on because it was, I don't know, the Japanese didn't fortify all the way close to the shore like they did at Tarawa. They were back further because somehow they had a railroad that ran from one end of that island to another because they had a sugar plant way in and way down at the other end,
right.
Sugar mill where they more or less fortified close to that railroad track all the way down, and they let us, well, not let us in, but I mean as far as heavy fortifications or anything like that, they didn't. You get the machine gun, but no more mortars and all that kind of stuff, but you didn't get the other stuff.
So were you part of the first or the second wave of the invasion?
I don't know what the hell way we were in. We were in there somewhere around between the second and the fourth or fifth. It all depends because we were back with the artillery thing then. I mean, this group was artillery, and we were just about ready to be able to bring the guns in on shore because that island was big enough where you'd have to have because they had fortifications up in the mountains up there and different things you'd have to.
Yeah.
But. And the infantry, they needed the help to back them up. We're right behind them. So,
were you a squad leader now?
I was. Sometime you are and sometime you aren't. It all depends on how many guys get hurt or anything like that. You don't get any promotions. You just name only. Yeah. Somebody's got to take over. Okay.
So, did you like that responsibility? I mean, obviously, you're getting more experience all the time. So, what were the nighttime attacks like on Saipan?
It's funny. I don't know if you probably can't realize, but at nighttime,
not really. No.
They would shoot these at nighttime. You have the artillery. I mean, not the artillery, but the mortars. You could shoot a shell up. And it would have little parachutes with, I think it's sulfur, burning sulfur, to light up the place like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
and they
like a
had
star
some
shell.
Of these shells that would have one shell could light up, maybe would have about 4 or 5 of these parachutes on there, and it would light up and stay lit for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and it would die out. Then
Yeah.
maybe about 20 minutes later, they'd shoot up another one, just to see so you can see what was going on. These jerks, these Japanese, they just go snaking around at nighttime. You never, then because they would have they've had their like bonsai attacks. Now sometimes there was that one. They had it was not in our bunch of our, but H battery was next door to us, and they got hit one time real hard with it should have been at least maybe 150 Japanese on a bonsai attack.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course we were on the edge, and you get the slack on the out from you protect that side of the thing, and they all half of them came around that way, but that's what they do. They did it at night.
So they chose the cover of night.
You can just about hear them whenever they're the day before when they're going to have a bonsai.
Oh, they're getting
or they
all
get
revved
together.
up.
Well, the infantry can push them back so far. Then
Yeah.
the Japanese, they decide, well, we got to stop somewhere along and start fighting back. We fight back.
Yeah.
Well, you get these hot spots all the time where certain groups and certain here,
Yeah.
and you have to stop them. Well, they go so far, and then all of a sudden, hey, we've been out there for 3 days, and we've been going. We need a day. We're going to take a day of rest. We're not going to go any further. We're going to stay right there. Well, the Japanese, they're on the other side over there, and they're. You could hear them. They're drinking and boozing up, and you know that night what's going to happen. You know it because you can hear them, and they're out there, and they go.
Plus that went on for days too, didn't it?
And then they get all boozed up for getting ready for night for the bonsai attack at night. That's the way they cared nothing of dying.
Yeah.
They would never give up. They would never give up. They would
Did
die.
they ever tell you what bonsai meant?
They have no idea what it was.
Obviously, it was connected to the emperor.
Yeah, that's what's up there. Yeah,
10,000 more
something.
years of life to the emperor. Everything for the emperor.
Yeah.
That's how fanatical it was. So then the tanks and artillery were moving further and further off the beach inland and taking more territory. So how long did that take? I mean, how long did it take to secure Saipan?
Well, that had to take it over a month.
It took weeks,
a month.
yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer than that, because of course when we left, they were still up in the mountains shooting. Because after we got past halfway up to the city of Garapan, that was their biggest port,
Right.
and we got past that and up. We were going up further up the island, more on the inside, and I don't know. At that one time there, it's like I said, that H battery where we were over on that one side there, and we were supposed to be the anchor for our battalion was I battery. I mean, how H and item. That was our.
Oh, okay.
I battery. They had I battery, Hal battery. There's three of them. There's 4 guns in each one. And Hal got caught. They got caught in the middle of a bonsai attack that one time.
Oh, okay.
And we were the anchor on that side, and had Hal batteries on this side. So, but they came around our side.
Okay.
So one morning we get up. I was really early because the sun was just about ready to come up. And this buddy of mine, he was from here to you.
Yeah.
And of course we just pulled up the day before, and you dig your foxhole, and because that's where you're going to be during the night, and that's where you stay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all of a sudden, about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, you hear all this screeching and hollering and screaming and shooting, and all of a sudden, buddy, I said, stay down. He didn't. He wanted to get up to see what was going on. I got him right in the leg, and. Of course, he didn't want to go back. He wanted to stay. I'm not going. I'm going to stay here. I don't care. I'll go. I'll put me on a stretcher. I'll stay here. I don't want to go back and stuff like that. But it's just those kind of things. You remember them, and you know, and And after so many times, like after so many years, you get that out of you. You try to get all this out of your head. You don't think about it, but you can't.
Right. So as the units kept pushing and pushing the Japanese and the civilian populations further and further inland, was there word of these mass suicides taking place on the north end of the island?
We got up so far, and the CBs, that's a construction battalion.
Right.
They're the ones that they bought in tents for
the tent camps.
We made a tent camp.
Everywhere you went, you had tents, right?
It's the only way.
New Zealand, Hawaii.
Every place you go. Like I said before, I've been there almost 3 years and never slept in the bed. Never slept in a bed.
Did an old friend track you down in Saipan?
Yes, that's what I said. They went. The CBs built that tent. Built a tent camp.
Yeah.
Well, the tent camp, when they build it, you have to have plywood floors.
Right.
They give you a 12 by 12, and you throw it on the ground. Then they put tents on the. That's it. And one day we were up there about maybe a week, 2, and this tent camp was just right in the middle of a sugarcane field. And I'm looking out one day, and I'm out by the tent, and I'm looking, and I see three guys, white uniforms, and the way down there, and they're asking these guys down there, if they knew where I was.
Yeah.
And they said he's pointing up toward me, and as they kept closer and closer, and I thought to myself, there's that son of a bitch. I says, look at him. It's Hank. His name is Hank Larson. And he says he had a chance to get off his. He was on a destroyer.
Yeah.
And he had a chance to get off on a Liberty.
Yeah.
And he took his 2 buddies with him. He said, I'm going to go find Joe.
So he knew where your division, your battalion was?
He only knew my battalion name and number and all that part. And he kept asking every place he went,
So how long did it take him? Did he do it all in one day? Or
how long? But he had his white uniform on, and he had mud up to his pants was all the way up. I could never figured him looking come down that thing. They can't be anybody I know.
So how did you? He was from your Chicago neighborhood or what?
He was one of the guys in our neighborhood before we left, but before I enlisted.
Right.
That we used to hang around with.
Oh, okay. When you were working at American Can.
And today he's still in Florida, and he's still alive, same as I am.
Wow.
But
we got to go interview him.
So I make
Florida.
I make
should have done that last month.
I make a contact with him every once in a while.
Oh, that's great. Right. So he stayed in the Navy for the duration of the war.
His tour was out, and then he came back.
Okay. Okay.
And then we got together again. Did out. He stood up for my wedding.
Oh, wonderful! Wow. Well, I mean, you must have almost been knocked over when you saw it. So, was there a new airport being constructed in Saipan? What was going on there?
The first runways were put in on Saipan.
Right.
On one end of the island. Well, when the B-29s came in, they could take off and take off pretty good.
Yeah.
But that was without bombs on them.
Without a full bomb load.
They didn't have a full bomb load. Well, come to find out, when they did start putting bombs on them, they would take off, and instead of going up, they sunk, and you'd be surprised how many went in the ocean.
Wow.
So that's when they turned around, and we had taken went down and took Tinian. That was only a couple of days. That was only
just across the bay.
They weren't even hardly fortified though. That part.
That's just across the bay.
Across the straight. There's a little straight across there.
Yeah.
And they built that big long one down on Saipan, so they could take off from there.
Yep.
They tried to build it on Saipan first.
Yeah. So Tinian and ultimately Guam, they built an Air Force base there too. But you were only like 1,600 miles from Tokyo, so the previous bombers couldn't make Tokyo round trip. They could make it, but they couldn't get back. But the B-29s could make it with extra tanks. They could make it there.
That's why they had to take.
So that was the Marianas were just pivotal in being able to start the whole bombing campaign in Tokyo. Yeah. So, another thing that happened as a result of the Marines and the campaign in Marianas is Tojo resigned.
Yeah.
After that turkey shoot and a lot of disgrace. So the guy that started the war resigned. But the Marianas, you weren't done yet. So
yeah, well, just about.
I mean, it's something that amazes me is that were you informed? I mean, we're talking about Okinawa now. Were you informed that Okinawa was such a massive campaign? It was called Operation Iceberg, I think.
They lost a lot of guys on Okinawa.
Yeah, but just the U.S. and the naval, U.S. and the British Navy assembly, the troop buildup, it was actually larger than D-Day. Here's an island that's like 20 miles long, and you have a force larger than D-Day getting ready to invade this little 400 square mile island.
4 Mile Island. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, that's interesting facts when you look at some of the history of the war. So what Marine unit were you assigned to in Okinawa?
Same one.
Still with the 2nd?
Just 32nd.
So since General Geiger went in with the 4th Marine, so you guys were sort of a reserve to General Geiger's unit? Okay. So what did your unit do in Okinawa after you went in on the invasion?
It's funny when we went from Saipan to went to Okinawa. They had all these Japanese, what do you call them, the suicide bombers?
Kamikazes.
Kamikaze guys.
Yeah.
Well, we were just about, I don't know, maybe 50, 100 miles away from Okinawa. That's when they started.
Yep.
They'd show up.
Yep.
And they'd come, and you shoot them down.
It was the last defense of the mainland. They didn't want the U.S. to get any further.
We were on LSTs then.
All larger ships.
Saipan, Okinawa. That's because we could put our tanks and stuff right.
Yeah, you had all
guns and everything, all
yeah.
trucks and everything, all in there. But we fished two of the kamikaze. Guys out of the water. They didn't want to be. They wanted to drown. They didn't. I'm not. I don't.
Yep.
But we fished them out anyway. I bought them aboard ship. And
then what?
We had them. They had them about 3 or 4 days. I mean, they're talking. You go down and you talk to. They can speak English. See, Japanese, that's their language, second language. Almost all the people in Japan knows how to speak English.
I'll be there.
We never knew it that, but they do. They knew English, how to speak and talk to them. So he taught me a song.
Oh.
That's the kamikaze pilot.
Yeah.
Before they left, they used to drink like fish. I guess they just sake or whatever.
Why not?
You'd have to be. You better be drunk. But they used to sing this song. Saraba Okinawa yo matakori wa dewa shibashi kare no Okinawa yo, and they would go like that. And they taught me that one pilot. He taught me how to sing that song.
Well, you're singing in Japanese. Did you know the English translation though? What did it mean?
It's amazing how you could. But I never did find out what they ever did with those two guys. I mean, he probably committed suicide. Who the hell knows?
Well, a lot of them did. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't until the Navy got the Corsairs where they started sending patrol planes out to intercept the kamikazes, where they could really turn the tide on that.
They were nuts. They just take that plane. They aim it, and that's exactly where they would go.
So what was your mission in Okinawa once you went ashore?
We didn't do too much.
It's like the Marines were.
By the time So we got there. The Army was supposed to have taken part of the island,
Right.
and the Marines were supposed to take the other part.
Right.
Well, evidently, the Army wasn't doing too good with we had to we more or less followed the Army right to the end because they did their job all right, I guess. But
Yeah, we know about the Army versus the Marine Corps rivalry. So you didn't run into any friends in Okinawa from Chicago, did you?
no, nobody.
So after Okinawa, did you go back to Saipan again?
We got back on that same LST, and we're heading back to Saipan.
Right.
And we were only back a day or two before we were going back, and all of a sudden they said that the war had stopped. We didn't hear. We didn't know about we never heard about the Nagasaki bomb when they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki.
Right.
They told us that after we were headed towards Nagasaki.
So did you get back to Saipan before you were then redeployed?
No,
You were diverted.
So we started. I said we started all the way back.
I thought you actually made it back to Saipan, and then you'd have a long trip to Nagasaki. Okay. So what?
How'd you feel about the bomb?
I'm glad it happened. We would never. I would never be here today if it wasn't for that. I'd never be here. The way we had to go in to Nagasaki, that's where we were supposed to go for landing. When we were the time for us to go. Mm-hmm. It's a strait that goes from the ocean into Nagasaki Harbor. It's so narrow, and it's okay. I mean, walls of mountains straight up, and they showed us where it is. They had gun placement and all this other kind
shooting
of
gallery.
stuff.
Yeah,
and according to them, they were going to let us come into Nagasaki, and instead of shooting out towards keep us out, they were going to let us come in and shoot from going in where we wouldn't know what the hell to do. But Nagasaki itself, I'll tell you, that you couldn't imagine what happens to see that, just to see it.
As you entered the harbor, I mean, your ship went into the harbor, and
well, somebody had to go in there before we did in order to make so we could.
Oh, that's true.
We could.
That's true.
We could come to the docks where the docks were.
Where it used to be.
this whole bay was full of. You see these great big cranes.
Yeah.
In all these things are in the water, all over the.
So the whole waterfront was like this.
There was railroad cars turned over and all this other kind of stuff.
So did they have to put in floating docks then, or something like that?
No, there was no room for that. You had to clean up. You had to have some place to put the dock.
Okay.
Where would you put it?
Wow.
It's just unbelievable. As you looked out.
Into the
no
city?
No buildings, nothing. All you see is
as far as you can see.
It looked like a chimney sticking up in the air, or a big steel beam propped up or something. And they never thought about having this ultraviolet ray and all this other kind of stuff from the bomb. It's that kind of stuff for the Marines. They could care less.
Yeah,
you're a guinea pig.
Well, it wasn't understood at that time. Yeah. So where did units?
We didn't stay there.
No, you actually.
We went to we were looking for a big way. The scouts go out and tell us where to go. And they had an air base, a fighter plane, just a small fighter plane outfit, but the hangars were all, bombed out and was probably blown up and stuff like that. But that's where we stayed. At least it was clean.
So what was your mission when you're at this air base? What were you doing?
Nothing. Well, I take that back. We were supposed to. They split the whole division. They split us up.
Oh.
Some were supposed to go around and collect all the guns, ammunition and everything in the city. And we went through around through Osaka. I think Osaka was one of them, and plus all the little towns all up and down the other ones, other guys were police. We were police.
Oh, okay.
Just like police. But they, Japanese, these people, they were just like nothing happened. I mean, they didn't seem to bother them one way or another. They weren't, especially the women, they're very, and
Oh, were the Americans there?
yeah, they didn't. No, yeah, didn't seem to bother them. They went ahead and did what they did, living, day by day.
Yeah.
You see them going along. They carry them, put everything on their head and carry it. That's the way they carry it. The husband, he walks about 5 feet behind. He's got nothing in his hands.
So
It's comical.
you collected some more souvenirs. Was there a chance to collect some of those while you were in Nagasaki?
If somebody can ask you about that, huh?
Huh?
You what?
The war souvenirs.
Yeah.
I remember you had the sword. I think your son has the sword.
yeah, like
A Japanese rifle and
well, that's part of it. It's funny. You collect all that stuff before,
yeah.
but what good is it, really?
I don't know.
What do you do with it? What do you do with it?
So you were in Nagasaki quite a while, though, weren't you? In the occupation force?
Oh,
Well, it was months,
there.
wasn't
We
it?
were only there about 3 months.
3 months.
3
Wow.
months, something like that.
Well, compared to where you were other places, that was a long time.
Well, yeah, I stayed in one place too long. Oh, we were
So did you get a military unit come in and replace you guys so you could leave?
regular troop ship.
Just regular army? No, I mean that came in and replaced you there.
Navy ship.
Okay. So how did you return to the U.S.? You remember the route you took?
Right straight across. We never stopped.
All the way to San Diego? That was
Yep.
your yeah.
Got off the boat. They give us our sea bags.
Yep.
And no music, no nothing. It was a rainy day whenever we got off that ship.
But did your unit disband at that point?
We went back to San Diego.
Yeah, I'm in San Diego. Did
Yeah.
you disband at that point?
They got discharged at Great Lakes.
Well, what were you issued in order to travel, though, in San Diego? What type of clothing were you issued?
The only thing, well, all the time we were in say from the time we left,
Right,
we changed from our greens to the khaki.
right.
Well, then the khaki is to be considered a dress for your dress.
In the field.
Your regular combat clothes had herringbone. I don't know. If you most people don't even know what we wore, how we wore it, but it was herringbone. It was maybe not herringbone. That was it.
For combat.
You wore that 95% of the time.
Right, right,
In the rest camp, you only wore khakis, the khakis.
right. Those were dress.
That's what I said. When we left, they took the greens away, and so all we had was the khakis and the herringbone, and that's all you had all the way through until we came back to
San
San
Diego.
Diego again. Then they give us a new set of greens.
So you're able to travel in your greens.
That was send you home.
Send you home.
you
Yeah,
home,
You're-
yeah.
You're done with the Marine Corps, so dress up.
And if you wanted one of those caps, the regular hat, baseball,
Yeah,
you had to buy it.
Oh, really? That was an issue.
Right.
You get the garrison cap.
Yeah. Well, that you talking? We call them a cunt cap. That's
Yeah.
what we call it.
Okay.
Were
So
you on a point system?
Huh?
Were you on a point system, or was that other branches during World War II? In order to go home, did
We
you
never
have to
had
have
no-
a certain amount of points?
If the war would have lasted a year longer, I'd have been out there a year longer. They just don't. Never had that whole
it was
division.
in Nagasaki 4
Never had
months
one
after the war.
promotion. Not one promotion in the whole division. All the time we were overseas.
My goodness. Across
Believe it or not.
all the different ranks?
Oh, care what rank you were. That's what you got. You never never got above anything you did.
Do you remember?
You see the movies and stuff where they say they line up out on the airfield and they got pen all these things
Yeah,
on
yeah,
them
yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
they're doing saying this and that. It never happens. Maybe someplace else, but not in the Marine
Only
Corps.
in the movie we watch, not in the actual. So you're in your greens and you went for your discharge where?
It's San Diego. I mean, from San Diego to Chicago Great Lakes.
Right. And that was February
That was
in 46.
February.
Yeah.
But 3 years later,
So what did they do to you at Great
they
Lakes?
took all my souvenirs away.
All the things he's been collecting, man. Boy.
I thought maybe I could hide them and get a giveaway. I had all kinds of little stuff that I could collect.
So did you tell them that you needed to get to Chicago from Great Lakes? Did they help you do that?
They go all day. No, no. In fact, whenever from Chicago to get to my house, I think they gave me $6.50.
Well, that's a lot of money in 1946, isn't it?
That day, I had to take the North. I remember the North Shore train.
I know $6 would get me from my train station in Arlington Heights to Chicago today, one way. on the metro, not the Great Lakes. So, so when you returned to Chicago, where did you live?
I lived with my aunt.
Okay.
In fact, it was my aunt.
Yeah. Well, she comes in handy. She was waiting for you after 3 years. You were in the Marine Corps 3 years.
Yep.
Okay.
Was
So-
she expecting you? Did you let her know that you were on your way
No,
home?
no.
Do you remember what that?
They didn't give us time to do that. By the time we got from Nagasaki until we got home, they told us we were going home. I bet you within 2 weeks I was out. That's how fast they.
That was a lot faster than going over there, wasn't it?
From Nagasaki all the way to San Diego, that was the longest trip of all.
It took you 3 years to get to Nagasaki and only 2 weeks to get back.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, boy. So you must have been looking for a job, though.
Went back to the same job I had before I left.
Or at the American Can?
Company.
Oh, okay. Did you receive any promotions?
Not right off the bat, but within a year or two, they promoted me quite a bit. Went from one to the other, went all the way up.
Oh,
Got to be well. In the meantime, I got married and then had kids, and
how did you meet your wife, though? How did you meet your wife?
my wife, she played that accordion, believe it or not.
Yeah, right.
When she was single, she played that in the USO.
Oh, in the U.S. Oh, okay. Who did she play with?
Well, they lived not too far from the training station
Oh, okay.
on the south side of Chicago.
Okay. Oh, USO club?
Naval training. So there
was a USO club
go
there?
down there and play music
Okay.
and stuff for the guys, Navy guys. But I met her after, because I never got. I was going to hang around, have a good time after I got out. I go along for about a year. Yeah, that's like I'm getting tired of this. So she was playing the accordion in a nightclub.
Right. Who was she playing with?
Her sister played the drums, and
Oh, it was an act then.
yeah.
Okay. So when were you married then? Do you remember the date?
Yep.
Yep.
September 6th,
I knew he'd know.
1947.
And obviously you had some children.
I had 4 kids right off the bat. I mean, three right off the bat. Very lucky, very happy, very unbelievable.
So you must have needed to get a bigger house, didn't you? With all those kids.
My mother-in-law built a flat upstairs for us. She did. That place. She had a real one of the great big bungalows that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They tore that whole roof off of that thing, and built another flat above
okay.
it. Just
To accommodate you guys.
Just for my wife.
For you.
Because they didn't want her to leave the house. Because they
wanted her to
She was the baby.
Oh, okay.
And she had it all.
Oh, okay. So how did you get? When did you move to Oak Lawn then?
1960.
Okay, so that was your
That
first.
was afterwards, when the kids start getting bigger and start going to school, and I got more promoted, and I got to be
So you built that house, right?
I did. Well, I had that house built.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it was a brand new
so
house.
We saved enough money to
A brand new house.
have
Yeah.
a down payment on the house.
So you mentioned the work. So how was your career at American Can going?
So it's getting more promotions all the time.
So how long did you stay with them?
44 years, almost 45 years, 44 and a half years. Right now I've been retired 33 years.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I'm getting my money's worth.
So how did you wind up in Lockport? Here.
Well, my kids were all married, and we had this big, pretty good sized home in Elk Lawn.
Yeah.
And I had retired, and I thought to myself, hey, I'm not going to. We like to play. Wife and I both like to play golf.
Yeah, I can see that.
So we come out this way, and we looked around, and I thought, well, geez, and some of these people are buying these retired people are buying these bigger, townhouses and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, no, I'm not going to be cutting the grass, and I'm not going to be doing some kind of this. So that's why we found this place here. The two of us, it's beautiful for you out there. I love it out here.
It's really nice. Yeah.
I love it.
I don't know how difficult it'll be play golf with 40-mile-an-hour winds though.
Yeah, there's also,
you got white caps on your lake over here, So let's see.
It's funny. The first couple of years I was here, I started saving golf balls.
Oh.
Every day I could go out in my backyard and pick up a half a dozen.
Probably be some stray ones today.
Right now, probably I've got a couple thousand up there in my garage.
More than you ever need then, I
I
guess.
thought to myself, well, why am I saving these?
Probably a lot of brand new ones too.
What do I need these for?
I
Okay.
had a couple of questions about your service. If we can go back, did you have replacements come in from time to time?
Oh, every time.
What was your interaction with replacements like? Did you welcome them, or did you feel like maybe you didn't want to get to know them?
No, I mean, usually we were in a squad of 16. And usually we'd have to replace 4 or 5 different guys. That's, for different reasons, one way or another. And no, whenever we consider a Marine. A Marine is a Marine. I don't care how you want to put it. Go through the same old thing that every Marine has to go through. You may not like it, but that's what everything. And you got the same camaraderie that you had with any of them that come. We never had any problems with any of them. Which, I mean, in the Marine Corps, you do what they tell you to do, and if you don't like it, well, that's too bad. They don't care. They don't ask you if you like it or not.
Not interested.
And then my only other question was, at the beginning, you talked about how you kind of liked school and you kind of wanted to go to college, but your dad said no. Did you have the opportunity to use the GI Bill? Did that ever?
I did and I didn't. I could probably kick myself. I probably could have figured out a better way of what I did. So when I came out of service, I had no place to live. And I had no income. And I couldn't, there's no way I could afford to go to college. Now, if I don't know if I probably should. I don't know if I should talk about that or not. But I had a father that was bad. He was no good. I mean, he hated me. I don't know why, but ever since I was a kid, and he used to beat the hell out of me, and this kind of stuff. And maybe I was bad. I don't know. But we never could never get along. Anything that I wanted, he didn't like. In fact, he didn't believe in school. He said, they don't need people to go to school. Go to school, go get a job after you get out of high school. Get a job. That was his idea. I don't care if you're digging ditches or whatever you're doing, but he says, that kind of stuff. And we never got along. That's why one reason I never went to college. He would never even think about spending money for me to go to college. That's why I put all my kids through all my 4 kids through college. And
Okay.
So, let's talk about the medals and the special commendations that
Yep.
you were awarded.
Yep. These are all the ones.
Of course, that's just a picture of what's on your wall there.
I don't know if there's any more up there that I got coming or not, but I don't know. That's what they sent me whenever I.
Yeah, it starts out with a Bronze Star, campaign ribbons, occupation. You got the Navy Marine Presidential Unit Citation commemorative. That was for Tarawa.
Yeah, that was
right?
terrible.
And then the commemorating Pacific Victory. And, of course, the Marine Corps Good Time Conduct and the Combat Service Commemorative and the World War II Victory Medal. So how about the badges you received? Expert Rifleman, Pistol Expert.
Yeah. You get those. Most of them you get right after you get out of basic,
Okay.
out of boot camp. After you have your rifle, like you say, your rifle training is 200 yards, 500 yards, and that. Then they give you that.
The badges.
You see
Yeah.
that one. Then you got a pistol. They show you the pistol. They give you
Pistol,
a pistol
rifle, and you have one for a bayonet, too.
Of course, you get that thing for bayoneting and all the other that other thing over there at the top outside. Now it's funny. See that dog tag up there?
Yes.
That's you're supposed to get 2 of those.
Uh-huh.
Somewhere along the line, out in that Pacific Ocean, those islands out there, one of them's out there with my name on it.
Oh,
there.
okay. Okay.
And because you get them, you have to have 2.
Yep.
And because if you get killed, you get killed, or you get whatever it is.
Yeah.
They take the one, they bury the one with one, and you take the other one. Well, I lost somewhere along one of those islands out there. I lost mine. Well, out there's no way they can make another one. You don't print
They didn't bring
it out.
that equipment.
So the second one up there, they took it to sick bay, and they had the thing, the tag, but a blank tag.
Yeah.
So what they did, they took acid, they took wax.
Oh, they etched it. Huh?
And they put try to make with my name on it because I had to have 2.
Yeah.
And so that's the one I got up there right now. You can barely read it, but it's there. It tells you
It works.
serial number and all that. All that's on there. It's
And then that next to that is the 2nd Marine Division, your shoulder patch, right?
yep.
And your stripes.
Farthest I ever got was a corporal.
Well, you said there was no promotions in the division.
Pay, huh? In pay.
Yeah. So, what was the most memorable moment that you had in the Marine Corps, if there was one? When you got out? Or...
Bad ones, good ones. Oh, Jesus. I looked. Good ones. There ain't too many good ones. One to another. I mean, if you go from one place to another place, well, I mean, everything is all cut and dried for you. You don't have to do too much thinking for yourself.
Just use your training, right?
Probably the best thing I ever did was get out.
But that had a sour note when they took your photos away.
No, I tell you, I love the Marine Corps, though. I mean, I don't know. It's
I mean,
something
we can
about
tell.
the Marine Corps that.
Yeah. You've got your battle flag. I mean, yeah.
Oh, the kids keep buying me all that junk.
So you formed a lot of friendships in the Marine Corps. Did you stay in touch with some of your old comrades?
Surprisingly, all the time we were together, we never exchanged addresses.
Oh, at the time.
Or
yeah.
at the time you're in the Marine Corps, you don't even think about that kind of
No,
stuff.
yeah.
And all of a sudden they decide, we're good, just discharged and we're going home.
Yeah.
Never got an address from any one of those.
Wow.
The one in Indiana, Ohio. He was in Ohio. Jack Coleman. His father was a priest.
Mm-hmm.
Not a priest, a pastor, but I was stationed. I worked for the American Can Company down in Cincinnati, and where he was, he lived. I can remember the city, but I never had a chance to go up. I went up once to try to find him.
Yeah.
But I never could find him. And the other ones were from Wisconsin. One was in Michigan, and one was in Washington, and the other one out in Indiana someplace. And I never did the close ones, the close guys you're with.
Right.
You never. Then I kept thinking about after I'm home here. You think, well, boy, would it have been nice to get a hold of these guys.
Just to call them or write them or if possible visit them. Yeah.
They're probably thinking the same thing.
Were you involved in any veterans organizations like the VFW or the American Legion?
No. Not that I know of.
And no unit reunions, obviously, from what you just said. So what do you think the younger generations can learn from your experiences?
I don't know. I just wonder if the Marine Corps is going to be is like it what it used to be before. Now that it seems like it's different.
Oh, and what's different?
Well,
my eldest son is in the Marine Corps right now.
I'm sure the combat tactics are altogether different because they've got all kinds of different stuff, that kind of stuff. But
they have different equipment, different training, but also different enemy too.
But they still have the spirit.
Yes,
the Marine Corps still has this. I don't think they'll ever lose that.
I think they maintain it, but that also draws people to the Marine Corps too. I think it separates people from regular service to Marine Corps.
Right.
I think that helps. Not all of them make it through, but I think they're drawn to the Marine Corps for that very reason. Yep. Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that we didn't cover during the interview?
No.
Or you?
I did have one other question. You said you didn't really hear about the end of the war. I assume you meant the end of the Pacific. Did you hear about the victory in Europe at all as you were fighting? As you were stationed anywhere? You didn't get any word about that?
How much was it that the war in Germany was over before? How about 6 months?
Wow, yeah.
Or so, I don't know. I don't
end
know
of
how
April.
long. I don't think so because 6 months we were still on site.
They signed the armistice in April, and then they were in Berlin in May.
46?
45. So you were in Okinawa, I guess.
It was probably somewhere we had to be.
Okinawa was April through June, so you were probably approaching or in Okinawa at the time of the VE Day, I guess. So you missed New York and everything.
Well, that one there, that's what it says Japs quit.
Yeah.
That was printed on a cruiser, on board ship, and they passed it.
Oh, okay.
They passed them out for us whenever after the war. They flew them over from one ship to another and gave them to us while we were on our way to Saipan. To Okinawa. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could.
Okay, so
That's all.
well, that's a lot.
There's a lot of things I could probably bring up and show. Oh, geez, things you wouldn't want to hear. I mean, as far as that goes, I probably couldn't tell you the whole story anyway. Go make it through enough
Okay.
to.
Okay. Well, you've shared a lot with us. We really appreciate it.
I've sat down here by myself, think about it, cry a little bit.
Oh.
Because I can never. There's certain things you can't forget.
Right.
You take the smell.
Oh.
You go into, like you say, when you go in on a landing, you smell the gun smoke. You smell burning wood. You smell, I don't know, it's a conglomeration of a stink that you can't get away from.
Mm-hmm. And of course, 76 years later, you can still recall that.
You'd think sooner or later you could get away with that.
Yeah, but no. Okay.
It's all.
Okay, Joe. On behalf of the Pritzker Military Museum, I want to thank you for your service for your country.
Well, thanks. I think we go through this. I tried. I would never have thought of this anyway in the world. Ever think about? I had it here. I thought to myself, well, that's mine. The kids will take it, whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah.
My son, he moved to South Carolina. I said, take
The sword.
Take the sword with you. He put us on. He made butter. He had a rack made. And put it up on the rack and
Oh, okay.
that kind of stuff.
Well, it found a home.
Japanese, the rifle I sold.
Oh, you sold it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I traded it for a lawnmower when I moved to Oak Lawn.
Well, you needed a lawnmower.
I needed the lawnmower. I didn't need that kind of stuff. I still got a Japanese bayonet out in the garage.
Oh, okay.
Things like that. I mean, it's and every once in a while I run across it. You think about it. That makes you think. I think I ought to throw it away so I can forget about it. But at my age, it doesn't make much difference anymore.
Yep. Well, thank you very much for letting us come into your home and for you sharing this story with us. Thanks a lot, Joe.